What is up, last Cloudia players? We are back. All right, we have uh, we have our paladin Ryuto here. Ryuto. Yeah, there's definitely a Y in there. So the whole community is just kind of going back and forth on this guy. I can kind of see why. I've heard from a couple different content creators and people that make vids, and they've pretty much been saying they've kind of been holding off on this guy. Why? Well, because we are used to getting DPS characters and reviewing them, right? And once you build a few DPS characters, they release new DPS characters, and you kind of go through the skill list, and you're like, I know what this does, this stacks with this, you know, all these abilities right here, they work well together. There might be something custom. You just kind of layer that with everything else that's in the kit, and you get a decent idea of what you can do with these characters, especially since, you know, we're used to building DPS characters. That's pretty much what we've been getting, just different forms of DPS that affect different elements, you know, but ultimately it all comes down to the same thing. So then when we get a character like this, who is completely different, let's see, when's the last time we've had a tank? That would be Lance Evil. And I've talked about how there could be some cool stuff in this game done with tanks. I thought it'd be awesome to have like an actual cover tank where he can actually guard for people around him. The reason I thought that would be cool, is because it would bring a different kind of gameplay to Last Cloudia. Instead of just clicking over to your next damage dealer, spamming whatever combination you want, and then clicking over to the next one, you would effectively be able to play the game differently, right? You can dump your damage, and then you can switch over to your tank, and you can actually run him around and try to mitigate some damage. It would just be a different way of playing the game, and I just always kind of thought that was cool. In the past, the tanks that have come out have been a little bit underwhelming. I was really kind of hoping for a huge power boost for Lance Evil. They did boost his power a little bit, but let's see, I haven't really developed him all that much. Let's see, I think, yeah, here's my Lance Evil. Just kind of been working on him, just because I've always thought, you know, tanks could be something viable in this game. The reason I think that is because I've went up against an arena team that was just all tanks. It was, you know, Lance Evil and Roland, Zuggy, and they were just unkillable. I would have to kill the whole team around those characters, and that's how I would, you know, chew my way through arena teams like that. But I always just thought it was a cool concept. The thing is, they never gave these tank characters the real builds that they needed. This is something that other content creators have also mentioned. Big MCC's talked about the block chance and how notoriously low it is. Even on a character like Lance Evil, you know, he's got an increase to his guard. It doesn't really seem to be like much at all. So let's see if they did anything new with this guy. First and foremost, he does look very cool. Let's actually look at him in the summon, so we can see him fully built with his 1300 defense, like whatever it is. Yeah, 1367 defense. Wow, 980 strength. So it's kind of like they took Kyle's strength and defense and flipped them, because I'm pretty sure Kyle has like 1300 strength and around 1000 defense. I could be wrong, just off the top of my head. Well, let's see what they actually did with him. Right, so he's got some dark resistance, a little bit of light. He is resistant to stun, which is very nice to come with, and he's resistant to, I believe that's curse. Also 1132 mind and 5782 hit points. Not looking too shabby, right? Not looking too shabby there at all on the stat side of things. We get to abilities. This is where it kind of gets interesting for me, because really, two of these abilities are not going to do any damage at all. We're talking about the S2 and the S4. The S2 pretty much lets this guy become a provoke tank. He's going to provoke everybody. Chance for temporary effect, making all enemies target this unit. Chance up if mind is higher than the enemies. Chance down if your mind is lower than the enemies. And chance up as skill level rises. Here's the thing. I don't know the full extent to which this works. Okay? Like, is this going to be something that's good PvE? Sure. You're going to be able to use this in tower. You're going to be able to... I guess the idea here is your S2 will make everybody target you. And if you can drop your S4, then you can reduce the damage taken to 0 for, 12 seconds at a time. And greatly recover hit points. So his S4 has a heal built into it. Right, and he just, pretty much becomes immune to damage for 12 seconds. Max hit points times 2. So he's going to be able to soak up, 20,000 points of damage. That's very nice, especially for somebody that can literally force everybody to target him. Again, I'm sure that's going to work great in tower and stuff like that. Are you going to be able to do anything in arena with it? Right? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Could it be viable in arena? I mean, yeah, when the fight starts, if you can drop your S2 before Kohaku or Alice get to dump their S1, and you can force them to target this guy, that's pretty cool. Like, you could effectively, nullify those attacks, and kind of get the jump on the enemy. That's if it works like that. Haven't been able to test it. If it doesn't work like that, well, you're not going to really be seeing too much of this guy in arena. I do think he will pop up in arena, though, just because he will be unkillable, right? So we have the S2 and the S4, right? One makes everybody target him, the other one makes him invincible. Then we have the S1 and the S3. These actually do some damage. S1, Southern Cross. The Southern Cross and the Fist of the North should never fight. Alright, S1... pull in a medium area of enemies for a light combo attack. When it says combo, I think it is like a 2-hit, but it does move everybody around. The idea is this will pull everybody to you right in front of you and group them all up together so you can hit them all with an AoE. And that's kind of like what his S3 is. Ether Bash. This thing is pretty cool. Charge and deal a frontal wide area light combo attack. This one is pretty nifty. It's not like you're going to be getting to dump it all the time, though. Remember, this isn't a damage character. This is a real tank's tank. So that is, his abilities in a nutshell. We will run him just to see how his kit actually works together. This cat will stop playing with my shoelace. Cut it out, man. I'm trying to do something over here. Jeez. All right, let's go into traits. This is where it gets interesting. So, first of all, we have Paladin. Okay, nullify flinch from magic attacks. That right there is huge, and I'm going to explain why, in my opinion, why that is so important. I think this is something a lot of people are overlooking. Okay, and then there's partial resistance to interruption when activating skills. Defense increases the more damage is taken from enemies, up to a max of plus 35%. So again, nullify flinching from magic attacks. That right there is huge. Magic attacks are used to interrupt characters. They're used to interrupt you so you can't get your skills off. You can't get a spell off because you're being floated in the air and taking hits from magic, right? It's almost like the whole stun lock thing, which, by the way, this guy has less of a chance to be stun lock, I guess. Partial resistance to interruption when activating skills. So it's going to be harder to lock this guy up. Like, if he wants to get one of his skills off, he's going to be able to get that thing off and probably interrupt whatever you're doing with it. So that gives this guy an edge as kind of a saboteur. And it is nice to see magic going off around this guy and not affecting him whatsoever, right? Like, when somebody casts a wind spell, one of those little tornadoes comes up, flies everybody up in the air. No, not this guy. Nope, he's just going to stand on the ground and keep doing his attack and keep interrupting. The same thing with like the earth spells, where like a pillar comes up from the ground underneath your characters and it throws them up in the air. Yeah, this guy just stands there through it. So that is very useful, very useful. And I think a lot of this, gets overlooked when you start thinking about how this guy actually can heal. Right? We'll look at his healing spells, but he does have God Heal. And that's the important thing, is this guy is non-flinching and he can throw heals. So, in some situations, in a pinch, I hate to say, I gotta say IMO here before I get crucified. I'm sure that in some pinch, there's a way for this guy to actually out-heal Theria if Theria's getting hit with magic and she can't cast anything, or if she's being thrown up in the air. You don't have to really worry about as much of that stuff with this character. A lot of times when I fight Theria, a Theria team in Arena, I just try to spam her with attacks so that I can, knock her up in the air so she can't stop and heal somebody. I have to try to disrupt her so that the rest of her team, can fall around her, or hopefully I can take Theria out with enough damage and then work my way to the rest of the team. But that's going to be harder to do with this character, right? You're not going to be able to throw a spell at him to, interrupt whatever healing he's trying to do, right? And, if you're going to be using skills against him, it's going to be easier for him to make you flinch than it is for you to make him flinch. He can pretty much interrupt you with his S1 or his S3, and then, from there you can try to get a heal off. This guy's healing is actually empowered on top of that. So that's what I think is interesting, especially with Paladin, right? And then as far as, being kind of like a cover tank, this is something I've talked about before where I thought it was cool. This is what kind of caught my interest here, War Cry. So it's not going to work like I was hoping it would, where you could run around and tank for people, but with War Cry, it's going to let you mitigate AoEs, which can be very important. When taking damage from enemy attacks that target all, damage to unit plus 100%, which is fine because he can mitigate that, he can take that, but damage to allies minus 50%. When this unit is incapacitated, defense in mind plus 50%, and physical flinch null buff for all allies. So there's a lot to unpack there. But, it's pretty simple. When taking damage from enemies' attacks that target all, you're going to take a little bit more damage from the AoE, but the rest of your team is going to get their damage cut in half. That's pretty damn cool. I do think that's important. And then obviously if this guy dies, everybody's going to get a defense in mind plus 50%, and physical flinch null buff for all allies. That's really important. Getting rid of all this flinching and stuff, that opens up a lot of possibilities for a lot of different team comps. So it's one of these things where we really got to run this guy and see how effective some of this stuff is. That's pretty much what I'm getting from the community right now, and everybody trying to test this character. So let's actually check out the skills. Of course, we have God Heal right at the very top, and Stardust Heal. These are the only two, heals that he comes with, but he's got a nice AoE heal right here that recovers moderate HP to all allies, and we all know how good God Heal is. So just the fact that he has those two, very nice. I would expect that from a Paladin. And then we have Resolve Up 2. What is this? This is Defense in Mind 5%, and we have, this one's 12%? Defense in Mind 12%. So from these two, he's getting 17% defense and 17% mind. We love it when they stack these stats together. Of course, we have Guard and Vigilance. What tank wouldn't have that? Spell Guard. Guard Charge. That's very nice. I can't wait to get that. When Guard is equipped, SCT slightly recovers from guarding. And very important, we have X Guard. When Guard is equipped, damage taken during Guard minus 15%. When hit points drops to 50% or lower, your guard rate actually goes up. That's really cool. A lot of people have complained about how the guard rate is really kind of so low that all of these guard abilities that can only proc when guard procs are a waste of SC, because guard's never going to proc. So why would you take 30 SC of points of abilities that can only proc if guard goes off? That's kind of been one of the problems with tanks, right? Like, these things typically they cost a lot. Obviously this guy gets them for free. He also gets the X guard ability, which is great. Guard impact. When guard is equipped, a chance to make nearby enemies flinch when guarding. That is just awesome. Like, instead of me flinching, it's gonna be you, right? Very cool stuff. Something that needs to be tested. We have royal armor. You're gonna take less crits. Fiend shield. This is cool. This is kind of like one of those slayers that, you know, bunches in a bunch of slayers together for the price of one, except this is a shield, right? So damage from monster types minus 20%, beast, fish, plant, insect, bird, and creature. So you're getting a bunch of shields right there that are all 20%. Very nice stuff. Very nice. I dig the shields, right? Because then I can always stack more damage reduction on top of that. And shield abilities are like 9 SC a piece, so they're not cheap, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So this would be like a 50 or 60 SC ability if you actually paid for all of these shields individually. So that's pretty cool. We have Knight Mastery. When unit type is Knight, defense plus 10%, physical attacks effective against soldiers, damage from soldiers minus 10%. So Knights trump soldiers. Yeah, you're gonna do more to them, you're gonna take less from them. So yeah. We have auto protection, of course. Auto haste, very nice to have. Awaken, as any tank should have. And then we have Sacred Guardian. Here's that heal boost. Recovery magic power plus 20%, and recovery magic cast speed plus 50%. Which, of course, those are the only two spells that he has are recovery magic. So just the cast speed plus 50% is phenomenal, and you're getting 20% to the recovery power. Spend 3 more SC and take, what is it, like Heal Rise or something like that. And you will actually have a fairly competent healer who's not interrupted by stuff. So that is just one of the potentials that I see here. You know, you could potentially take this, run this character maybe instead of a healer, and, you know, if he's taking up a healer slot, you might actually get a little bit more damage out of that party with this guy there than just a straight up healer, right? And of course, obviously Theria is going to do a better job of actually healing and doing support, but yeah, if you don't need all that extra healing and support and you want maybe a little bit more damage instead, you could put this guy in, right? Or if there's a bunch of magic going off and, you know, Theria's getting interrupted, you could put this guy out and he might be able to cover you while those spells are flying, and he might be able to throw out some heals. So, yeah, we have Goddess Kiss, Allure. That's the other thing too, is people have complained about how, you know, increase the rate of attracting enemies' attention. There's been various items that have Allure on them, and none of them seem to work that great, and it seems to be one of these things that you kind of have to stack up for it to have any sort of effect. Again, this guy's S2 is supposed to be like Allure on crack, and I actually do see it working on enemies. It would have been nice if they would have thrown in some sort of debuff on it, but hey, what are you going to do? We have Chivalrous Mindset. This has been coming out on all the new characters. When a sword or armor is equipped, sword and armor defense, you know, strength and defense for the sword and the armor plus 50%. It's absolutely phenomenal, especially for somebody that's going to be single wielding a weapon and, you know, rocking armor, which you're going to want your tank to rock armor. Doppelhander. This is nice too. When only weapon is equipped as a sword, physical attack damage plus 20%, crit rate plus 10%, and physical attack damage cap plus 2k. That is just awesome. I love Doppelhander. I think it's great. We have armor boost, of course. Armor high boost. Wonderful. And then we have phalanx. When armor is equipped, take killer / slayer damage minus 20% and take critical damage minus 20%. This right here, this is like 15 SC worth of crap. This is absolutely phenomenal for a tank. I don't have this unlocked yet on my character, but I can't wait. It's going to make a huge difference. And then we have special shield too. Special damage from enemies minus 30, which means when we get special shield 1, we'll be able to stack these. Unless I missed that one, I don't think special shield is out yet. But this is cool, right? Special damage from enemies, you get a minus % to that. Very nice stuff. It's cool to see that. Then of course we get a skill charge too, right? Because his S2 is his provoke move, right? We get rapid recovery, reduces the time required to recover from status effects. Pretty nice for, you know, a tank to have. And then we have ether shield. Nullify fainting from enemy attacks. That's awesome. When close to death, reduce physical damage taken to 0 for 7 seconds, once per wave. So it's going to let you hold out a little bit. It's going to keep you from dying. That 7 seconds should be enough for your non-flinching ass to throw a god heal on yourself. I guess that's the idea there, right? So overall, very cool character. They did drop. Well, you know what? There's an arc too, and honestly, IMO. Dropping a lot of IMOs in this vid. As you can kind of tell, this arc seems to kind of be for Theria. You know, the arc attribute, when near death, buff unit to nullify damage taken. Stun resistance +2 when unit is alive and all allies are incapacitated. Revive all allies with hit points 50% once per quest. That looks like it would be very, very valuable for arena, right? So yeah, and this is going to, like, when near death, buff unit to nullify damage taken. So in arena, right off rip, if she takes some major damage, this will shield her from just getting insta-killed, which is kind of what you want, right? This thing has some pretty decent stats on it. It's got a nice int. Defense is mad, but it's got 368 mind. So yeah, that's pretty much what I would be using this thing for. The ether reward is the banishment robe. Magic damage received minus 10%. Recovery magic power plus 15%. 34 int on a robe. 81 defense. 254 mind. And it's got some light and dark resist. 10 to each. So overall, it's a pretty solid robe, really. I don't think I'm going to be dumping ether into it. And let's see. As far as the abilities go, we have silence resist, which, you know, Theria would want. Fast aura. Scald. When near death, magic casting speed plus 20%. Now that's useful. That is pretty cool. Yeah, I think a lot of mages could take advantage of that, especially you know, zombie mages where you have a build where they're coming back to life, where they're going to be low on health. So yeah, Metas Phaser. Wisdom's protection. Battlestar, add 5% of intelligence to defense and mind. For 4 SC, that can be a whole lot of stat, right? You know, there's plenty of characters that have 1,000 intelligence just built into them that they're never going to do anything with. For 4 SC, you can take 5% of that and add it to your defense and your mind. I think that's going to be a pretty good trade-off for some characters. So look forward to that one. That one's pretty cool. Can't wait to mess around with it. Then, of course, we have Staff High Boost. Fairly simple. But hey, if you need it, it's there. So this thing's pretty cool. It's going to be going on Theria, of course, in my opinion, on my account. That's just what I'm going to be doing with it. And then we have, right, Holy Knight Ryuto. So let's actually go over his paid gear real quick. You know, this is one of those things where, you know, ultimately everything is up to you, whatever you want to do. Let's see, where's this stuff? I already got the sword. We'll look at that It's actually on the character. What I didn't get is the armor. And I know it's just like, what are you doing, dude? Like, this is supposed to be a tank. Why wouldn't you get the armor for him? Hear me out, people. Hear me out. First of all, the armor's pretty cool. Battle start, recover 20 SCT of skill 2. If it was 20 seconds of SCT, I might be a little bit more pressed to get this armor. But this is going to give you 20 seconds of SCT to skill 2, top right. That is your provoke ability. So, this is going to let you pretty much throw provoke as soon as the fight starts. Boss wave, special gauge plus 10%, and continuous magic barrier effect. So, what's that worth to you? What's that worth on this character? To me, not as much as some top tier armor that this guy would actually be wearing that would have a higher defense and a higher mind. And potentially a better trait on it for a tank. Don't get me wrong, this thing does have stun resist, which is very nice. But there's other armors that have stun resist if that's really what you're going for. That shouldn't be overlooked though. This does have a resistant stun. Yeah, that is pretty damn nice to have. The character is also resistance to stun, so this would give you like a +2 resistance, I believe, if you stacked them together. That's good and all, like I said. But I went with the sword. I only had 25 of the hero creds. I don't think the armor is worth going back in and getting for me. I don't know. If you disagree, leave me a comment. But, I'm just looking at some of the better armors in the game, some of the Trustmaster armors that we get from arcs, and they are going to be outshining this. So I don't see any point in getting a tank a piece of armor that he's not really going to be wearing when it's all said and done. Because if we actually look at the sword, let's take a look at this guy. If we actually look at the sword, it does something kind of nifty too. Let's see. Here he is. Here's the sword. So the sword's 169 attack. It does have some defense, 22 and 11 mind. So that's cool, for a weapon. At least they gave it some defense. But what's important here is light attack critical rate plus 8% and damage plus 25% for the skill Southern Cross. That is what I think is important here, is to get any sort of damage out of this guy. Your skill kit is cut down to 2 skills that you're able to use, right, to do any sort of damage. You might as well get a 25% boost to one of those skills for the damage, especially if it's going to be the skill he's going to be spamming the most. So that's where I see the value in that plus 25% damage to Southern Cross. Also, light attack crit rate plus 8%. That's going to help this guy. This thing is doing light element. Southern Cross is light, and his S3 is also light element. So this really helps this guy do some damage. That is why I went with the sword. I still wanted some damage along with all of the tanking, especially considering, I'm going to swap the armor out later when I get like the golden armor or something for him. That's somewhere in like the 200, 250 defense and like pretty high mind, and then it's going to have an awesome trait on it. There's a few different armors I'm looking at, but I'm just going to keep the blade on him. That is what I chose to go with. So yeah, it's up to you guys. Of course, everything's up to you. All I can do is tell you what I went with and why, and that's pretty much my reason for it, is really that plus 25% and the boost to light. All right, because that's the thing, is to get damage out of this guy. First of all, IMO again. I'm not going to be running any Slayers on this character. I don't think it's worth it. You're paying way too much SC to only power up a skill kit that has 2 skills in it that you can feasibly do damage off of. So Slayers just become too expensive. This guy's going to be using a lot of basic attacks though. In between that S1 and that S3, he's just going to be spamming his basic attack. So this is a character where I will actually use killers, right? You might as well buff up your damage with a killer for only 3 SC, because you're going to be throwing a ton of basic attacks, so you can increase that damage a little bit and kind of tweak that. and it's not costing you a lot of SC, right? If I pay for a Slayer, I'm probably going to give up some sort of defensive ability. If I pay for a Killer, it's probably with a few SC that I have laying around. So that's just kind of the way that I look at it. I've been teaching him Killers, right? So let's actually just kind of see how he runs. I do have like damage absorption. Actually, they just renamed that. It was called damage absorption. I think they're calling it something else now. I have 1 and 2 on him. So it is nice to see him, like, you know, take no damage and then actually heal off of some of the damage that he's taking. So we'll just kind of pay attention to that. I think that's kind of what's worth looking at on this character. Let's see. Should I bring... Yeah, we will... We'll bring an arc that will let us activate his S4. Another thing I was thinking of for increasing this guy's damage a little bit, something like Combo Master I think would actually work on him, because, you know, this guy, he doesn't have to get to a 50 hit combo, your whole party does, and then, you know, anybody that has Combo Master, they're going to do more damage. So that might be something that I want to teach this guy. So right off rip, we're taking some damage, but pay attention to the little green numbers, because we're also healing. Like, we're actually healing a lot. We're blocking a good amount of times. We're healing a lot. I can let this guy just kind of stand here on auto. They're never really going to lower his health. This guy does have Machine Killer on him, just a killer, just to make the little machine fights a little bit faster. Because they do have some sort of, I think they have some sort of physical damage reduction. And then let's actually, let's test out one of his heals. God heal goes off pretty quickly. What about Stardust heal? Look at all that guarding. That is pretty awesome. And we managed to cast an AoE heal through the spell. Like, they just cast a spell on him and it doesn't really affect him. So that is pretty awesome. Right here we can, let's get all these guys together with an S1 and then hit him with an S3. See, that one actually does do pretty good damage. I dig it. So, I mean, that was his full offensive capability right there. The S1 and the S3. Yeah, out of the box, this guy is a little bit lackluster when comparing to, like, damage dealers like Kyle that we just got. Here's that S2. Everybody just got butthurt, and they're all angry, and they're all, like, targeting me now. So, here's that S1 that we just cast through all of their spells. Here's us not getting interrupted. That S3. In fact, let's show off this awesome S4. This would be the ideal setup. You use your S2 to make everybody target you, and then, boom, you drop this S4, and you walk around all invincible like a badass, right? So now for the next, what, 12 seconds on top of that heal, all the damage that we take is just 0, 0, 0. Let's drop an S3. I like how that hits everybody around him. All those zeros. Let's just make ourselves invincible again for another 12 seconds. Keep taking them zeros. So as you can see, like, it becomes super hard just to really even budge this guy's health. Oh, look at that. Look at that. We actually got stunned. So this is their chance to do some damage to us. Let's see if they can pull it off. Yeah. I think that's about it. We're gonna stay right at about 6k health. Oh, look at that. We're guarding through skulls. Awesome. We're just gonna keep using our kit right through their little attacks. Oh, they're raging out. Yeah, so right now, this guy, he doesn't even have, what is it called? What is the ability called that lets you heal off of crits? He doesn't even have Proud Force. That's right. This character is not even running Proud Force because he doesn't really even crit that much. He is running Blood Force. Is it called Blood Force? You get it off an SR arc. It's 9 SC, and your basic attacks have a chance of absorbing 20% health. So we'll look over what I got on this guy so far. So he has been fun to play. You can run him around anywhere where you just need a healer or support. You could use him to farm some stuff, I guess, if you needed to help keep your rogues alive. Because this guy wouldn't, he doesn't necessarily have to do a bunch of damage. He can kind of just be in the background, supporting everybody, healing everybody, not flinching to anything. So that's definitely a possibility for him. It all depends on how you want to build this guy and how you want to use him. And, there's always new content coming out. A lot of people are saying, well, why would we need anything other than damage dealers? We can just damage dealer our way through everything. That might not be the case soon. You never know what they're going to come out with harder content. You might actually benefit to have some sort of tank character. I don't know, but here's what mine's got on him. Here's the skills he has. We got some attack up, defense. We got resolve up 2. Of course, guard, steel guard, vigilance, spell guard, heal guard, which is, I dig the heal guard now because this guy's guard actually procs because of X guard and stuff like that. I have counter on him, high counter. I might take those off of him. I don't see that proccing all that much. Here I have a bunch of shields that I haven't even equipped yet. A bunch of slayers I'm not going to use. Let's see, we got auto haste. Oh, that's right, we got auto haste now. So actually, we can take Happy Halloween off because I was using it for the haste ability on it. So yeah, this is pretty much where mine's at right now. Blood Force, that's what it's called. Regular attacks have a chance to absorb 20% HP. This guy's going to be doing a lot of regular attacks. So I chose to go with Blood Force instead of Proud Force. You could double up with them, I think what does work well, obviously, is physical damage healing. It used to be damage absorption. And physical damage healing too, and magical damage healing. So I got the trifecta going with those. That's where you see a lot of his healing come from when he takes damage. Works pretty well. I'm going to be doing something with impact. Just to kind of see what I can do with that to bolster his basic attack. I really think there's going to be a lot of builds around this guy's basic attack since his kit is only giving him so much. I've already went over that. So yeah, other than that, I did some skill charge on him, and I really haven't had the SC to do much else. Do I have enough? Tempest, Dragon's Blessing. Yeah, all of this stuff that gives you physical damage taken minus 15%. Anything that's going to give you minus damage taken is just going to be phenomenal on this character because it's going to stack up with what he already has. So, you're talking about a character that's just going to be potentially damn near impossible to kill. So, I guess that's the final word on that. That's why I think this character is cool. We got to give them props on the design. He does look pretty badass. Yeah, I was wondering how Ryuto and Theria survived in the Dark Realm for so long. Well, here's why. It's because Ryuto is just such a badass tank that, he was able to do that. So, very interesting. Nice to see some character variation. Nice to see a different kind of character. So we'll have to see what all we can do with this guy. I wish I could say more on him, but I only have 87 out of 104 abilities unlocked. I have been testing him as I've been unlocking his kit. It's kind of a... He makes some big power jumps as you go along the way, from what I've noticed. Really lackluster out of the box, but as you actually start completing this character and unlocking all of... See, I don't even have all the best stuff unlocked. But as you make your way out here, you can kind of see how this guy does become a pain in the ass to deal with. He becomes unkillable. And he does have some potential. So we will have to see. We will have to see if the community actually rallies behind this character and rejoices, or if people want to be stuck in their ways and just stick to DPS characters. I guess we will find out soon. But I think this is cool. This is something different. I've been wanting for them to do something different with tanks, and getting this whole block chance increased. Really, I think it should just be increased a little bit overall in the whole game. Lance Evil should have his increased. I don't know, just thinking out loud here, but from running this guy and seeing him take damage, he does seem to actually get his guard up a lot, right? So I'm happy there, happy overall, and I really can't wait to see what I can do with him as some sort of makeshift healer that's unflinchable. I think that is seriously like a possibility for this character. Also, I can't wait to get him, Kyle, and Theria in a party together. I got a feeling that it's just going to be stupid cheesy. Just, tons of damage from Kyle, tons of support from Ryuto and Theria, and just kind of like an unkillable party. And also, if anybody's wondering why this guy does not have a charisma ability, I think they did good there. There's so many charisma abilities in the game right now that it would just be a waste of space on this character. He can use Kyle's charisma abilities, or any of the charisma abilities that we have out right now, from Balin to Roland. The game is flush with charisma abilities, so pretty much any party that you put this guy into, he's going to bank off of somebody else's charisma ability. If they put one on him, it would just take up space in his kit. So I'm cool with that. He can use Kyle's charisma ability, right? And then he can still bring everything that he's bringing to that party. And like I said, the next thing I'm going to be messing with is seeing what I can do with this guy as a makeshift healer and saboteur. Like, that's what I want him to do. I want him to interrupt people and throw some heals when I really need it, and when there's spells going off and magic damage in the background. So we'll have to see how all